Hey folks, Alan Mandic, the HotRodHippie here. This week we're going to do a new product review. We're taking a look at the ISOtunes Xtra Bluetooth hearing protection. So let's check it out. So ISOtunes is a company that's been around for a little bit now, producing Bluetooth hearing protection. This is a new product from them called the ISOtunes Xtra. Let's go ahead and talk about the specifications of these, and then I'll let you know what I really think of them after a few weeks of using them every day. I've said it before and I will say it again. Personally, I consider hearing protection to be a very important part of your day-to-day PPE, your personal protective equipment. These are great if you're working in the yard, doing lawn mowing, working on a noisy job site, working in a metal fabrication shop like I do. So as I said, I've been using these for a few weeks every day around the shop for my standard hearing protection to give them a fair trial run. So please excuse a little bit of dirt on them. I didn't take product shots before I started using them. As far as specifications are concerned, the biggest one to me is that these are rated to 27 NRR, noise reduction rating. They are considered OSHA compliant for proper hearing protection. These are IP45 dust and water resistant, meaning that they'll hold up to your sweat, maybe a light rain, and dusty work environments on a day-to-day use. Now these use a Bluetooth 4.1 standard for a claimed 30-foot range of use. They have a built-in microphone, so if you want to take phone calls while you're using them, you can, as well as, of course, listening to music or whatever audio you may have playing from your host device. They also have what they call the SafeMax technology, which means they limit your overall decibel output to 85 decibels while still producing a good bass response, a good treble response for good sound. The idea there, of course, is you can't have hearing protection that then hurts your hearing by blasting your ears with loud noises. The setup uses micro USB to charge with a little trap door to get in there to hook up to that charge port, and the unit has two batteries on the neck portion of the wires to go ahead and power these things for about 8 hours of continuous music use or talk time. You also have a little control system which allows you to start and stop music, to go ahead and connect and disconnect the unit, turn up and down the volume, or accept or reject phone calls. On the back side of the control thing is a little microphone for taking those phone calls so you can actually be heard while using these. They also have a magnetic design on this version of the ISOtunes where you can go ahead and stick them together when you're not using them. So you hang them around your neck, they'll stick together and they're not flopping around all over on you. That magnetic design also functions as a start and stop function. So if you're listening to music, you pull them out, you stick them together, they'll actually pause the music you're listening to. Pull them back apart, stick them back in your ears, and the music will automatically begin to play again. Inside the box you get a little storage bag to put them away when you're not using them, transport them from place to place. You also of course get the ISOtunes unit themselves. You get 6 different tips that go onto the ISOtunes. You get 3 earplug hearing protection style ones for different size ears, small, medium, and large. And you also have 3 regular silicone type tips in there. So if you want to use these as just regular earbuds and not have them filling up your ears and dampening the noises around you, you can use them that way as well. Now these different tips actually thread onto the driver units. They have a little threaded shaft that sticks out of the driver that you then go ahead and take your tip and thread which one you need or decide on into that tip. For hearing protection, these are basically just earplugs. All you need to do is, of course, spin them with your finger to compress that foam, stick them into your ear canal, and allow them to expand and fill up your ear canal to reduce the noise around you. Now, last but not least, the specifications, these cost $79.99 US, and they have a 1-year warranty and a 30-day return policy. So if you're not satisfied within 30 days, you can return them for your money back. The 27 decibel rating on these is 3 decibels more than the 3M WorkTunes hearing protection that I previously tested. They are also Bluetooth. You can check out the full review here. These also cost twice as much as those 3M over-the-ear hearing protection. So now after a couple of weeks of everyday use of these, what do I really think of them? Overall, I'll just cut to the chase and say that I am pretty darn satisfied with these. The sound that comes out of them is really good. They definitely sound a lot better than those 3M WorkTunes hearing protection that I was using before. They have a really good bass response, really good treble. Overall, they sound really nice. Until you dial the decibel level up. When you turn them all the way up and you're listening to music, you get them nice and loud, they really kind of fall apart a little bit. The bass is too heavy, the treble kind of drops out a little bit. I really didn't like them when they was maxed out on the sound level. So if I was working in a really noisy environment, listening to music wasn't the optimal thing. However, I primarily listen to podcasts and audiobooks lately. I listen to Audible on a regular basis, and I found that when I was using these with that, even all the way turned up with that voiceover work in there rather than the full music, they didn't fall apart under that condition. So I was able to turn them all the way up, hammer and dolly, grind on things, and still listen to these things. The next thing to talk about is the magnetic design of these. I mentioned earlier they have a magnetic design that holds them together when you're not using them, and that has been both a blessing and a curse. I understand why it's there. I like the idea of when they're hanging around my neck, I stick them together, and they're not jingling all around on my neck or falling off of my neck when I lean over to do something. I really like that. However, as somebody who works in a metal fabrication shop and a custom automotive shop, well, that's where a problem kind of comes in. These things collect metal dust every single day. They turn into fuzzy little caterpillars in my ears. Also, the start-stop function, when you click them together and they'll actually stop the music you're listening to, I found that to be a little annoying at times. If you're just listening to music and you're not that worried about what you're listening to, it's a great function. Take them out of your ears, stick them together, and no problem, done. However, if you're listening to audiobooks or podcasts like I do on a regular basis, I really don't like that function. When I pull these out of my ear, I want that to have stopped. I don't want to miss a sentence of what I was listening to. I don't want to miss the last sentence of a chapter or the first sentence of the next chapter. Here's where a problem came in for me. After a few days, I had to get used to this, where I would hit that button, I would stop what I was listening to, pull them out of my ears, and would go talk to a coworker. And then when I would hang them around my neck, I'd stick the magnets together so they weren't flopping around as they're supposed to, but that would start playing again, meaning that I'd stick them in my ear a few minutes later and realize that I'm a chapter ahead of where I was in a book, or I missed a whole section of a podcast. So it really took a little bit of getting used to. I kept finding myself like pulling them out of my ears but not sticking them together and not using the magnets because I was afraid that was going to happen. Or when I would stick them together, I would stick them back up to my ear to check, see if it was playing. Sometimes it would be, sometimes it wouldn't be. I don't really know why that would be. Now these are rated for 8 hours of continuous use. I found that to be pretty accurate. I work a 10-hour workday, so between the times of talking to customers, my coworkers, taking break, lunch, and using these on a regular basis, I found 8 hours to be pretty much about the time I was getting out of them. I found that from like full dead to full charge is somewhere around an hour and a half to 2 hour charge time in my experience. Another minor annoyance with these is actually that little trap door. The little trap door to get to the micro USB charger is a pain to get out of there. Actually, when I just filmed it to show you how much of a pain it was the easiest it ever came out of there for me. That seems to be a trend on this channel. Problems that I have with things are less of a problem when I film them. I found myself all week using a screw to stick it in there and pull that little trapdoor out of there, which makes me wonder if I'm not going to ruin that little trapdoor eventually and then hurt the water and dust resistance that these are rated for. Okay, so right now you're getting a sound sample of the microphone on these units so you can hear what it sounds like. I may adjust the volume in post-production so that it matches the rest of my audio volume, but I'm not going to go ahead and edit it in any way, shape, or form. So this is what my voice sounds like through this microphone right out of it. I've taken a few phone calls on this to go ahead and test it out, see what people thought of the sound. Most folks tell me it just sounds like I'm talking on a speakerphone and sounds perfectly fine for that respect. Alright, at the end of this, what do I really think of these? What do I think of this product? I might have sounded like I was complaining a lot, but it was just me informing you all the ins and outs of these so you are fully informed if you want to pick a set up. I personally am going to keep using them. I do like them. The sound quality of them is definitely far and above better than the 3M WorkTunes that I was using before, so it seems like they really thought about that rather than taking hearing protection and adding sound to it. They took quality sound and added hearing protection to it. The biggest function that I don't like is that magnet setup. I get what they were going for there, but it's just not for me. However, I've gotten used to it and I can work around it. I do wish the battery life was just a little bit better, but you know, I work long days. Maybe you don't work as long of a day on a regular basis and that won't be an issue for you. There's a link down in the description where you can pick up a set of these for yourself if you're interested. Go ahead and drop the video a like if you found it interesting. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of the ISOtunes Xtra? Do you have some Bluetooth hearing protection you really like? Or do you have a set of the previous models of these or the new extra ones? Let me know what you're thinking. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more content like this every week. Thanks for coming around, folks.